Okay, what the heck is she doing? Yeah. Okay. What the heck is she doing is right. This is nothing new. This is something you see in gyms across the country. This is something that athletes and bodybuilders do all of the time, and they do it instinctively. A lot of people don't know why they do it, but there is scientific data that backs up why they do it and why it's beneficial. But you can't escape the fact that a lot of people just do things flippantly, not knowing why. It just feels good to their body or good to their spirit. And I am the type of person where I like to do the deep dives and investigate things. So because I want to stay accurate, I have pulled some things up on the computer so I don't ramble on too long, but I do know when it comes to shaking your muscles and jumping around, from a clinical massage therapy standpoint, this helps with movement of your lymphatic system. It helps with muscle recruitment. It helps with a lot of different things. I definitely know in the fitness atmosphere, it actually is a little factor in neuroplasticity. I've been doing neuroplasticity personal training for about, I want to say 16 years before it became a buzzword. I was just curious on Alzheimer's, did a deep dive on Alzheimer's, and started thinking, I wonder if we could rewire the neurons in the brain in order to overcome physical ailments stemming from surgery, stemming from other things. And there wasn't a ton of research out there for fitness professionals, so I had to dive into some medical things and some technological things, and even then, there wasn't a ton of information around about it. Now it's everywhere, and I'm actually glad that it's everywhere. But neuroplasticity is bringing in all of your senses, pretty much, in order to overcome some type of ailment or to rewire your thinking. It's for health, it's for wellness. It is nothing mysterious. It is not something super complicated, although the powers that be want to make it sound complicated. But I tested out neuroplasticity in personal training when I would get injured athletes, and I used them as guinea pigs. And I gave them free or discounted training sessions if I could experiment on them with different nerve stimulation, with different movements, with different sounds, different smells, all of these different things. And lo and behold, it was very effective. Of course, they went on and dove into their sport and became very successful in their sport and in their endeavors, and they seem to forget about all the training that helped them get there until someone like Andrew Huberman comes out, starts talking about it, and then they come back to me, oh, Andrew Huberman does this he's talking about neuroplasticity. I said, what do you think we did 15 years ago? So I'm glad people are waking up to it, but it's also a little bit frustrating when people are only taking doctors seriously. And my issue is that a lot of doctors have bought into faux science and have bought into this system of fables, and now all of a sudden are tapping into what true science is. And now they're getting all the credit, which is fine. Credit is fine, but they're deemed more stable, they're deemed more legitimate because they have the post-nominal names after letters after their name, and that gets a little bit frustrating because there's a lot of us that just really love learning and really love research and have open minds and test things out on our own and find things to be true, and in a lot of cases we're not taken seriously until someone with higher credentials comes out and backs up what we have to say. So you can take that as you will. But I will say that a lot of what we do is instinctual. God gave us an amazing body. As you can see by the paintings that I make, I love anything that has to do with the mind, with the body, with the spirit, anything that makes us human. And that's why I made this second channel that I haven't advertised to anybody. So thank you for all 2 of you who subscribe. But that's why I love this. The Reluctant Expert was birthed out of RX Training, my personal training business that I started a couple decades ago. But I wanted to talk more about faith and energy and science and things that will open up your mind a little bit and have you think on a different level. I don't know if it'll be successful or not, and that's okay. This channel will hit the people that it's supposed to hit. But for today, to keep me from rambling on further, I'm going to go ahead and I have some things booted up on the computer, which were just questions I had in the past that I happened to look up that I would like to share with you. So the first thing that I'm going to address is exactly what you saw. Me jumping around, shaking my arms, moving my joints, moving my muscles, shifting everything around. Now, why is this beneficial to somebody? Okay, jumping and shaking muscles during warm-ups and between sets is a deliberate or a subconscious way to activate, stimulate, and prepare muscles for upcoming work. So number one, muscle activation and recruitment. Jumping or shaking can help recruit motor skills, the nerve, muscle fiber pairs that control movement. When you jump or shake, you're sending rapid signals to your muscles, which can help wake them up and improve your neuromuscular readiness. This is especially useful if you've been sitting or resting, as it can improve blood flow, oxygen delivery, and coordination. Now, I'm going to venture to say that it not only recruits motor units, it doesn't only affect neuromuscular readiness. I think it actually helps with your energetic flow as well. Okay, number two, improving blood flow and oxygenation. Dynamic movements like jumping or shaking stimulate muscle pumps and circulation. This can help deliver more oxygen and nutrients to working muscles and remove metabolic waste, making them more efficient during the main workout. I don't think it's just about the blood flow. I really gravitate towards what it says about removing metabolic waste. When you remove waste from your system and you have a clean vessel, your muscles can twitch in a more efficient manner. Your breathing is already going to be more efficient. And again, you have a clearer channel for all of your energy to kind of conglomerate into one area so you can expel that energy and actually use that for beneficial purposes for your muscle stimulation. If that makes sense to you. I'm not sure if it's going to. I love fitness so much, okay? Number three, reducing stiffness and improving range of motion. We already kind of know that. It does loosen up the connective tissue. We do this in clinical massage therapy all the time when we do tapotement and things of that nature. It does affect the fascia. It does affect the connective tissue. It helps with joint mobility. Once you have mobility, you have synovial fluid. You have synovial fluid. There is glide. Again, a very clean vessel for you to go ahead and just... Oh, sorry. I could just go. I'm going to shut up. Sorry. Okay. Neuromuscular coordination. Shaking can also help fine-tune motor control. As muscles fatigue, the nervous system may recruit larger or more unstable motor units, leading to tremors. Jumping or shaking can help maintain coordination and prevent sudden loss of control. Again, so it's kind of like changing your oil in the car. You want to make sure that all of the little things are done so the big things can work. Psychological cue and focus. This is where I find it to be very interesting. For many athletes, shaking or jumping is a mental cue to shift focus from rest to readiness. Not to be confused with fight or flight, okay? It's not about having that anxious feeling or a looming feeling of doom. It is going from rest to readiness. You are ready, you are activated. It signals the brain and body that it's time to engage, which can improve performance and reduce the off feeling before sets. So that is what the shaking and the jumping around and loosening up the muscles or getting that lactic acid to kind of move around instead of staying stagnant. I don't like in the fitness community when we look at things just in a physical manner. I like to bring in other aspects of health and well-being into the conversation. So though this is talking more about neuromuscular issues and motor units and that kind of thing, I don't want anybody to ignore the fact that shaking, you'll see people do this when they're having an adverse emotional response to something. Sometimes I will be in my thoughts and I'll think of something that was horrible in the past and I literally shake my head. It's like, get away from me. Or people will shudder sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you don't like hearing bad news and you'll see people wringing their hands like, oh, no, 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 no. Movement is one of the things that becomes an energetic barrier, which I don't want to dive too deep into it, but this is how my mind works. Because I'm a Christian, I believe in the full armor of God. So that means you have the helmet for protection, you have the breastplate, you have all this protection around you. And if you really honestly think about it, most people imagine it as being an actual armor that is holding you back. I think of armor as something that is protective, that is a layer of protection. And I used to get a little bit salty in massage therapy class because I went for clinical massage therapy. I didn't want to get into all this Reiki and all this. I don't do that. I didn't want to do that. I don't know what source it's coming from. And because of things that happened in my past, I really don't like to dive into anything that is metaphysical, at least at that time. Because I was a little kid and I was very much obsessed with like aliens and healing hands and ESP, because I was trying to explain some of the experiences that I had as a kid. So I was trying to answer my own questions without going to adults, because I know that was looked down upon. So I did a lot of research on that stuff, and then when I became a Christian, I thought, no, you got to stay away from it. And then I finally came to the resolution that it's not good to stay away from everything. Nothing is inherently evil unless you put an evil intention to it. When they say stay away from crystals, and these Christians are saying this, and these ex-New Age people that go to Christianity are saying stay away from crystals. Now, I don't worship crystals, but I think these people are hypocritical because you have crystals in your head. Those get out of alignment, and even doctors will refer to that when it comes to dizziness and tinnitus in the ears and all this other stuff. They will say, oh, the crystals are misaligned. You've got to align your crystals. Crystals are in your cell phone. Crystals are in quartz watches. So people that say stay away from crystals, it's all about the intention. Don't worship a rock, but also there are properties of things that God gave us that we are to utilize for tools for our betterment and to glorify Him. And it seems to me that there's only other people that are actually worshiping these things in a form of idolatry, and they're using it for nefarious purposes. And you got the Christians going, dur, 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 stay away, stay away. So any benefits that any of these items that God created, the only benefits that are being doled out are by the people that are using them for nefarious purposes, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't like the hypocritical nature of all of that kind of stuff. I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but when I think of the jumping and the shaking, it is more of getting that energy stronger. And then if you bring in the spiritual aspect, it is that layer of, it is the full armor of God. God gave us the ability to arm ourselves, to take every thought captive, to resist the enemy, resist the devil, and he will flee. We are warriors in this life in a spiritual sense, but we need to start integrating everything that God gave us. There are so many things that are compartmentalized when it comes to physical training, physical healing, spiritual warfare, metaphysical this, CERN that. And I'm one of these people where I think there's room for everything to be true if you really look at it from a detailed scope and you really start trying to put the pieces together. Again, that is just my opinion. So that was one thing that I wanted to bring up with the jumping and the shaking, why people instinctively do it, because it feels good and because God gave us an instinct to do it. That means you need to activate your energy. You need to be ready for any load that's coming at you, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual. You're ready to do some work. It gets your vessel prepared to do the work. It helps with neuron firing and neuroplasticity. And I think it's supremely important to realize that just because it looks a little goofy or it just looks like, yeah, I'm getting pumped up for my next set, that there's a little bit more to it and it's backed scientifically. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about was the cat's purring. And I tell people this in massage therapy all of the time. And I've told some Christians this as well. Animals, I love animals. I think they're great. I have only had one one dog in my life, and she's in the other room, and she's phenomenal. She's great. She's a little hard-headed like me, but I love her. But I do have friends that are cat lovers, and those cats will always gravitate towards me, and they would always purr in the exact area where I was having a physical problem. So I looked it up, and lo and behold, this is what we found. A cat's purr can promote healing and well-being by reducing stress, supporting tissue repair, and stimulating bone and joint health through low frequency vibrations. That's right, ladies and gents. Low frequency vibrations. Science is backing this up. That frequencies can heal. So if frequencies can heal, then frequencies can also harm. This stuff is not conspiracy theory, guys. Okay? But God gave us these animals. These animals instinctively know what area to heal, and they have the natural ability to purr at the precise frequency that will promote tissue repair and bone and joint health. You're telling me that that is not a godly design? Oh, it's amazing. So let's go ahead and break it down. Let's see what it has to say. Cats produce purring through rapid rhythmic contractions of the laryngeal muscles. I always call it the larynx. So sorry, my pronunciations are all over the place sometimes. Which cause vocal cords to vibrate and emit a low frequency sound, typically between 25 and 150 hertz. The frequency range overlaps with therapeutic vibration used in sound and vibrational therapy, which are known to stimulate tissue repair and bone growth. I have done a deep dive on the technology that they were doing with the dopamine disease. What is it? Parkinson's. And they did have a vibrational sound frequency machine that people could actually attach to their clothing, and their shaking would stop. You're not going to see that advertised everywhere, because I don't think that the powers that be in the medical community actually want people to know that vibration and energy work can actually, I'm not saying energy work in a like, oh, you know, I'm not talking about the grifters out there. But energy work is nothing new. They use it in hospitals. Again, when it comes to Christians, I get a sour taste in my mouth. They're saying, stay away from all of this. Again, it goes with intention. Christians have no problem going to get a kidney stone blasted out by directed energy. It's the new technology that gets rid of kidney stones without having to pass it. They can non-surgically just direct energy to blast out the kidney stone. Same thing with ultrasound. What do you think that is? Clear. Same thing. What do you think that is? This is all energy, electricity, and vibration. And Christians think it's fine to use in a hospital setting, but it's not fine when it's coming from somebody else or coming from an animal. So I get my knickers in a twist with that too. And if I'm wrong, God convict me. I don't want the Christians coming after me again, because I do ministry. But again, I don't belong to any particular church. I don't even go to a church because I don't like the hypocrisy that's going on. This is why I'm good at mediation. It's because you say the quiet parts out loud, and if something doesn't make sense, you ask questions. And if you can't explain that to me like it's like I'm a 3-year-old, then you don't know what you're talking about. My opinion. Okay. It's very true with the vibrational therapy when it's talking about the vocal cords. Now, this is something with humans as well, and I'm going to gravitate into the Christianese again a little bit. I'm not very big on mantras or putting things on your mirror and repeating things over and over again, but I do believe what the Bible says, that there is power of life and death in the tongue. And I don't think it's just about the words. It's definitely about intention, but it's also the vibration of the vocal folds. Now, a lot of people don't know. You're going to think I'm so kooky. I've lived like 1,000 different lives in this one. But how I got to college was through a singing scholarship to train for opera singing. So I will say that you study a lot when it comes to vibration and tonality. And there's a lot of power in vibrational and tonality. And you can switch an emotional temperature just by switching the speed of the vibration of your vocal folds, of reducing the palate, the opening, the space in your mouth. There is a lot to it. And I will say, experientially, when I had the dental malpractice forever ago, which obviously they still don't know how to fix, so I wasn't able to form my words the way I used to. It's frustrating for me to sing. I don't find as much joy in singing because of the frustration, always tripping on these fake plastic yellow things. And I felt a physical and emotional difference by not being able to sing like I once used to. That is how I processed emotion. That's how I processed thought. That's how I prayed to God. I wrote music and poured out my emotions and my spirit into song. And then when I didn't sing as much anymore, I felt a huge difference. And it wasn't a depression. It was just like my body almost like deflated. I wasn't alive anymore. It was very difficult to go. It's still difficult to go through, to be honest. But when they talk about the frequency range of vibrations and how vibrations are healing, I'm going to say this is not just when it comes to animals. This is also with people. So there is something to being around positive people. If you are around negative people, usually the tone in their voice is very low. It is very Eeyore. It's very dropped off. Positive people, I always like to say, end things in a happy face. I will even say that in meetings. I'll be like, let's end this in a happy face. Let's say something positive. We're going to end out on a good note. I want everyone smiling on the way out because it really does direct the rest of your day. It really directs what you're feeling for the rest of the day. So you have to be intentional about that. But I know that there's science behind that. The vibrational tonality can directly impact your health as well as whoever you were talking to. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone and everyone's, oh, you know, life is hard, and I can't believe, or you have the, oh my gosh, like, it's almost like nails on a chalkboard. Like, you can go through a whole emotional roller coaster just in one day, depending on who you talk to. You can get energetically sapped by the vibration and the tone that's coming at you. So when it comes to cats purring, I think that this is wonderful scientific evidence that the low frequency sound, typically between 25 and 150 hertz, is very beneficial, not only emotionally, but physically for humans. It promotes bone regeneration, increases bone density, stimulates tissue repair, and reduces inflammation, improves circulation, enhances oxygen and nutrient delivery to tissue, and alleviates pain and swelling, providing a natural form of relief for chronic discomfort. So this is what a cat can do for you just by purring. And the funniest thing is they do it instinctually. They don't have scientific data that backs it up. You're telling me that God did not design this? Oh, it's amazing. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to address was why small animals and children seem to know good people from bad people. I know, you must be thinking, what does she do in her spare time? Yes, this is what I do in my spare time. Both small animals and small children often appear to instinctively recognize whether someone is good or bad. This ability comes from a mix of innate traits and learned experiences. In children, they have emotional sensitivity. They read facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language for kindness, warmth, or aggression. Very interesting, don't you think? Pattern recognition. Noticing consistent behaviors over time, such as nurturing versus neglectful actions. That will help them to determine. Empathy. Big one. Responding to others' emotions and reacting with trust or fear based on perceived care or harm. That is innate. That is something that is within people. I think small children have more empathy. Not all, but I think a lot of them have have more empathy because they haven't learned how to suppress it quite yet. They haven't lived enough life to be beat in the face. Some do, which I feel so horrible for those small children that live traumatic childhoods. But for the very small children, like their empathy factor will drive a lot. Evolutionary advantage, I don't really buy into that. It says the ability to identify trustworthy caretakers would have improved survival chances. Could that be true? I guess. I am a Jesus freak, so I don't believe in the whole evolution game pertaining to human beings. I don't believe we came from ooze. But I digress. In small animals, like dogs, cats, and primates, also seem to detect human kindness or threat. Olfactory cues. That is the nose. Okay, so sense, changes linked to stress or calmness, body language and micro expressions. Again, just like small children. Whether you have a relaxed posture, soft gaze, or tense aggression. Vocal tone. Here we go again. This is goes to vibration again. Learned associations. So that would be pattern recognition again. For both children and animals, good and bad sense is often intuitive and emotional, not purely logical. They rely on nonverbal signals and consistent patterns rather than complex reasoning. This works well. Okay, so I'm going to stop with that. I find all of this interesting because when you look at the intuitive ways that children and animals register people's energy, they say body language and micro expressions in both. That is information processing, and I find that extremely interesting. But also vocal tone was also integrated with them, which is, again, vibrations. Then you bring in olfactory cues, nose, the sense. So again, we're bringing in the senses. This is where everything ties into neuroplasticity. Why I believe the world is in the state that it's in right now is because everything is so compartmentalized. And I said that previously in the video. I know, 27 minutes. I gotta stop rambling. It's just so flippin' interesting. Everything is so compartmentalized. We have to know everything about everything, and we try to get rid of instinct. I don't like to get rid of instinct. I embrace instinct and intuitiveness and my faith in Jesus Christ and the provability of the Bible, and I buy into it. And then I go and look up the data. Then I go look up the history. But everything with me starts with an interest because I'm experiencing it. And I think a lot of the population is going backwards. They're afraid to embrace anything before they have scientific data to back up everything. And I think it's great to have data, but we're living in a world where we don't know what's true and what's false. Unless you have information that is from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, I'm guessing that a lot of the information that we have out now is being rewritten with AI. A lot of things have been scrubbed. I know that from my own studies. When I was looking into hadron colliders, when I was looking into COVID in the very beginning before all the shutdowns, when I was looking at all these NIH reports and studies from different countries pertaining to health and neuroplasticity and healing this and working with autoimmune, a lot of the information that I did find, I try to go back to refer to it, look at my notes, and is gone. Now, I know I'm not delusional. I know that I read the articles and took notes on it, but why is it gone now? So a lot of the information, scientifically backed studies, are not going to be as sturdy as we once thought they were. You can't hang your hat on everything. That's why I think everything almost sounds philosophical right now. How do you know what you know? I know through my experience and through repeated patterns. I know through testing the Bible. I know through testing the people that give their testimony. So I can test people and their validity. And even if their scientific data is not out there, because I found that person valid and I look at their history and they are not lying about things, then I'm more apt to believe them, even if there is a lack of scientific data. Now, there are a lot of grifters out there that will just tickle the emotional fancies of people to get money and to get income and all of that great stuff, to get internet famous. And for me, I get very irritated with those people because you're not helping anyone except for yourself. And when you break it on down, in order to be healthy, in order to live a good life, in my opinion, you have to be surrounded with positivity and you have to be extremely giving. And we've come into this time in history where empathy is very much sought after because it's not as freely available anymore. So if we start looking into why we do some of the things we do, why nature does certain things, I'm hoping that we can get down to the basic brass tacks of how humans are supposed to be. All of our senses that we are aware of need to be utilized, and not just for our benefit, but to benefit others. But you also have to be very discerning in whom you surround yourself with so you don't get your energy sapped. We can bring that into the Christianese as well, but then this video would be 4.5 hours long. So I'll make another video on that and probably ramble for another 20-30 minutes. But I just wanted to address that for today, and I hope you have a great one.